Hello everybody, it's Sara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to have a little chat about my reading year so far with all of you. I was thinking about doing the mid-year book freakout tag, but then I realized that I felt more like having a casual chat with all of you, talking about all of my reading goals that I had set up for this year and all of the books that I'm very excited to read in the next upcoming months. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into this. So some of you may have watched the video that I made at the end of 2020 talking about all of my yearly reading goals. If you haven't, I will leave it linked up here in the corner of this video, but also I'm going to be basically just talking about these goals right now. So even if you haven't watched it, don't worry, I've got you covered. And basically in 2020, I decided that I just wanted to have the most chill reading year for 2021, and spoiler alert, it's actually working. And the first thing that I decided to do in order to achieve that is to not set up a Goodreads reading challenge for myself. In case you don't know, I used to be a big Goodreads reading goal person. I used to really work towards that goal and be very enthusiastic about it. But after 2020, after I had read like over 100 books in that year and I just could not remember anything about any of these books, I decided to just not do that anymore and just read whatever I wanted and the quantity of books that I wanted. So yeah, I decided to not set up a Goodreads reading goal because I just didn't want to know how many books I was reading, basically. And for the sake of this video, let's actually see how many books I've read so far this year. So I have a reading journal in which I write down basically every single book that I read. I have this spread right here with this big bookshelf, and every single time that I read a book, I just write the title on one of those little books. So as we can already tell, I haven't read a lot of books this year because this isn't even half full. So let's see what the number is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 36 books! That's so cool! I'm so excited about this. I know that so many people's goal is always to read more, but for me, for this year, my goal was truly to just focus on the books that I was the most excited about. And the fact that I have only read 36 books is just so amazing to me because I remember every single one of these books. Like, I really took my time with them. I took my time to read them and really appreciate them, and that's just so amazing. That's exactly what I wanted, and I'm so happy about it. And something that definitely helped me achieve that goal of only reading the books that I was the most excited about is also not making monthly TBRs anymore. I used to make a TBR every single month, and I used to feel bad if I didn't stick to it or if I just like started reading other things that I was more excited about. But I decided to not do this year because I didn't want to put pressure on myself, but also I kind of just didn't want to think ahead. I just wanted to like finish a book, and then when I was ready to start another book, just pick whatever I was feeling like reading. And honestly, I don't think I'm gonna go back to monthly TBRs soon, at least not until the end of the year. We'll see for next year, but for the foreseeable future, I'm very happy with this decision that I've made. Then after filming that video about my 2020 reading goals, I watched a video from Books with Chloe. I don't remember which one it was. It might also have been like in one of her journaling videos because I feel like she keeps track of that in her reading journal. But she basically said in that video that for every single book by a white author that she read, she wanted to read a book by an author of color. And I thought that this was such a good idea, even just to be aware of the authors that you're selecting and the different stories and the types of stories that you're selecting for your reading. And so I decided to try to do that as well. So let's see how well I'm doing with this goal so far. Okay, so out of the 36 books that I have read this year so far, 16 of them were written by authors of color. So that means that 44% of the books that I have read so far this year were written by authors of color, which is great. Obviously, I want it to be 50-50 by the end of the year. So that means that I have a little bit of catching up to do, but the year is not over. I am confident that I'm going to be sticking to that goal because I think it's just so important to be mindful of the books that you're picking up and of the people behind the stories that you decide to focus on. Now, I also wanted to talk about some of the best books that I've read so far this year. So let's take a look at my little list once again. The first one that I see on here is actually right here. It is Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore. This is the fourth book into the Gracing trilogy by Kristen Cashore, which is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. So obviously, this is a new favorite. I loved it so much. Definitely one of the best books that I've read this year so far. Then the next one that I see is Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. I absolutely adored this collection of essays. This is about feminism and anti-racism, and if you love nonfiction and these topics are some that interest you, I would highly, highly recommend this book. It is so phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. Then the next book that I want to talk about is actually a graphic novel, and that book is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith or Smite. I'm not 100% sure how you're supposed to pronounce her last name. But this is a Hades and Persephone Greek mythology retelling. It is so good. I am so obsessed with it. I keep up with it on Webtoons because I just need more every single week of this story in my life. It's just absolutely amazing. If you love Greek mythology, you need to read this. Then the next book that I see is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is, of course, a great rom-com from the one and only Talia Hibbert. She is the author of the Brown Sisters trilogy, and this is the last one in the trilogy. If you love contemporary adult romance and you still haven't picked up a Talia Hibbert book, you need to change this because her books are absolutely wonderful. This was definitely my favorite. I loved it so much. I laughed, I squealed, I had so many feelings. Then the next book that I need to talk about is actually right here, and it is The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. This is the fourth book into the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon, which is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. This book absolutely destroyed me. Samantha Shannon has absolutely no chill, and she owns my entire life now. So I just really, really need to know what's going to happen next. But this installment, absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10. Made me cry, made me scream, all of it. Another book that made me cry and scream is none other than Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I have an entire reading vlog dedicated to this. If you want to see me sob uncontrollably over this book, you can click over here. I'll leave it linked up there. But yeah, this book, absolutely fantastic. I loved it so, so much. It destroyed my soul in the best way possible. I told myself that I wouldn't talk about too many of them, but honestly, I've already read too many amazing books this year. The next one is Ace by Angela Chen. This is a book about asexuality and in general the way that society perceives sexuality. And honestly, this book taught me so much about myself, but also so much about others, and I would definitely recommend it. It is so good. And then finally, I have to mention Becoming by Michelle Obama, because in case you don't know, I finally read this book. I know I'm the last person on earth to finally read this, and well, the only thing that I can say is that everybody who gushed about this book was absolutely right. This was so good. I know that this was already such a long list of like best books of the year, but honestly, it's insane. We're only halfway through the year and I've already read so many incredible books. Narrowing it down at the end of the year is gonna be absolutely impossible. But now let's talk about my goals moving forward for the rest of the year. So in this 2021 reading goals video that I keep on referencing to, I said that I wanted to read 2 series in 2021. The first one being, oh my gosh, my book is across the room. Hold on. I got it. I got it! The first one being The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. It is the month of June and I am finally starting this book. I'm on page 23, so I don't know too much yet, but so far so good, and I'm really excited to finally read it. I'm actually planning to film a vlog for the reading of this book and a couple of others, so definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, I'm very excited, and if I enjoy this one, I will obviously be picking up the second and third book in this series this year. That is the goal, that is the plan. Let's hope I can stick to it. And then the second series that I said that I wanted to read in that video is The Stormlight Archive, and I still haven't started that one. These books are so massive, so I don't know if it's going to be possible for me to read all 4 of them that are out before the end of the year, but definitely, like, I want to read the first one. if I don't read the first one, you can all scream at me on December 31st, and I'm gonna have to like publicly apologize, because honestly I've been talking about reading this series for so long, it's ridiculous. I really have to do it. But yeah, I'm honestly like, I'm super excited to read it, just other things keep on getting in the way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to prioritize it a little bit maybe for the second half of the year, but I'm confident that like we'll get at least to the first one this year. I know I can do it. As for the other books that I would really love to get to in 2021, these are like not on a set TBR. They are books that are constantly floating in my brain, so I'm just going to mention them like super fast here. The first one is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Then I also have Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I've been meaning to read a book by Celeste Ng for like 3 years at this point. It's ridiculous that I still haven't picked up any of her books, and honestly that needs to change. The next one is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I also have In the Dream House by Carmen, oh my gosh, I am blanking so hard. Carmen Maria Machado is the name of this author. I have heard so many incredible things about this memoir. I need to try it, I need to read it, and apparently cry. Then I'm also thinking of reading This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone, as well as The Stationery Shop by Merjan Kamali, and Hamnet by Maggie O'Donnell, is that her name? I have no idea. Yes, Maggie O'Farrell. I was close. I was so close. Oh, and also another book that everybody keeps on telling me that I have to read, and that everybody keeps on telling me I'm going to absolutely adore, is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. Listen, I know I have to read it. I know it needs to happen. I'm keeping it for like the fall. I feel like this is a good book for the fall. Alright, so these are all of the things that I wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope that you enjoyed this little update on all of my reading goals for this year. Let me know down below how your reading year has been going so far. Let me know what are your goals. Are you ahead? Are you behind? I want to know all of the details. And yeah, I'm just so happy that this reading year has been so great so far. I've been reading so many amazing books. I've also been prioritizing other hobbies because I'm not as like stressed about my reading anymore, so I've been watching a lot of TV shows and doing all sorts of good stuff, and I can't wait to read so many more amazing books before the end of the year. But anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!